Good afternoon. We'll call the meeting to order and welcome everyone to our council meeting this afternoon. Today's meeting is being streamed live via the Township of Eglinton Highlands YouTube channel. To those present in the gallery today, by attending a public meeting of council, you are consenting to your image, voice, and comments being recorded. Anyone invited to speak will be recorded and their voice, image, and comments will form part of the live stream. The chair and/or clerk have the discretion and authority at any time to direct the termination or interruption of the live streaming. Such direction will only be given in exceptional circumstances where deemed relevant. Circumstances may include instances where the content of the debate is considered misleading, defamatory, or potentially inappropriate to be published. Notice is hereby provided that under the authority of the Municipal Act 2001 and in accordance with the Ontario's Municipal Freedom of Information and Protection of Privacy Act, that all information provided for or at a public meeting / consultation or other public process are considered part of the public record. Members of council, staff, delegations, and attendees should be mindful of using names of individuals or entities when discussing matters in public. Attendees are advised that they may be subject to legal action if their actions result in inappropriate and/or unacceptable behavior and/or comments. As per the Township's procedure bylaw as amended, all votes during electronic meetings will be recorded votes. All of council is present in the meeting room of the Addington Highlands Community Centre, Denbigh. Thank you. So we have a motion to approve the agenda, moved by Deputy Reeve Hook, seconded by Councillor Yench. We'll call the vote. Councillor Thompson?
Yes.
Deputy Reeve Hook?
Yes.
Councillor Yench?
Yes.
And that motion is carried. Adoption of the minutes of the regular meeting, December the 2nd, 2025, moved by Councillor Yench, seconded by Councillor Thompson. Any errors or omissions? None noted. We'll call the vote. Councillor Thompson?
Yes.
Deputy Reeve Hook?
Yes.
Councillor Yench?
Yes.
And that motion is carried. So item 4.1, under business arising from the minutes, is the declaration of the vacant Ward 1 council seat. I'll turn it over to Christine.
Thank you. So just to reiterate from our last meeting, where council appointed Tony Fritsch as the Reeve per resolution 465/2025. This effectively leaves a Ward 1 council seat vacant. The process for declaring and filling vacancies on council is prescribed under section 259 through 268 of the Municipal Act as amended. Per the Act, if the office of a member of council becomes vacant under section 259, the council shall at its next meeting declare the office to be vacant, except of course if a vacancy occurs as a result of the death of a member, the declaration may be made at either of its next 2 meetings. When a vacancy on council occurs, council must fill the seat in one of 2 ways: by directly appointing someone to the seat who has consented to accept the position, or by holding a by-election in accordance with the Municipal Elections Act of 1996. Within 60 days after the day a declaration of vacancy is made, the municipality must appoint a person to fill that vacancy or pass a bylaw requiring a by-election to be held to fill the vacancy. Council does not have the option to leave a seat vacant unless the vacancy occurs within 90 days of the next regular election, which in this case will actually be held on October 26th of 2026. The decision is solely council's and staff. The decision on how to fill the vacancy is completely up to council, and staff will work to implement whichever option council deems the best fit for the municipality at this point in time. So as I mentioned previously, you have 2 options. One is a direct appointment, and the second is a by-election. With respect to the direct appointment, in order to be eligible to hold office, an individual must be 1, a Canadian citizen, at least 18 years of age on election day, live in the Township of Addington Highlands, or own or lease property in their personal name or in the personal name of their spouse, be eligible to vote in the municipality, and not prohibited from holding office under the Municipal Elections Act. I will note, because this is a vacant councillor Ward 1 seat, candidates for the vacancy must reside or own property in Ward 1. If council directs a by-election to be held, it must follow the requirements of the Municipal Elections Act. Unless council were to pass another bylaw directing otherwise, it would be held using internet and telephone voting in accordance with bylaw 0771/2021. Under legislation, a by-election cannot be held after March 31st, 2026, but it can be held before that date. So essentially, council's next steps are to determine if they would like to fill the vacancy by appointment or by election. If by appointment, then the next step is to determine which process they would like to follow for that appointment. If by election, the next step would be to have staff prepare a bylaw requiring a by election to fill the vacancy. A bit of a timing note, as I mentioned, the vacancy needs to be filled within 60 days of declaring the seat vacant. So the appointment or the by-election must happen prior to February 13th, 2026, not 2025, as I put in my report. Apologies for that. The recommendation from the report is that council receives for information the declaration of a vacant Ward 1 councillor seat report, and further that pursuant to Section 262 of the Municipal Act as amended, declare the seat for councillor Ward 1 vacant effective December 16th, 2025, and further provide direction to staff on how council wishes the seat to be filled.
Thank you, Christine. I just have a procedural question. So we could split the decision, whether it's direct appointment or a by-election, into the first resolution. Could we do that and then talk about whichever one we pick, the details of that second? Okay. So council, that's what we'll do first. In the first recommendation, however that resolution it would be to receive the report plus your recommendation or your decision on whether it would be a direct appointment or a by-election, and then we can, once you pick that, we'll get into the discussion of which either one of those would work. So
Just to clarify, included in that resolution would be the declaration that the seat is in fact vacant as well.
thank you. So I'll turn it over to council for discussion. Councillor Thompson.
Yeah, so I would be in favor of doing the direct appointment as opposed to the election. We understand that the election will cost, what, around $15,000? And there's only like 11 months to go, 10 months to go. I couldn't see the point of having a by-election, so I'd be in favor of this direct appointment. I'll make a motion to that effect.
Thank you, Councillor Thompson. You're seconded by Councillor Hook. Are there other comments from any other members of council? No. No. Okay, we'll call. We have a recommendation here, a draft motion from Councillor Thompson that we choose the direct appointment method. That would also include declaring this councillor seat vacant and receiving the report from our CAO. Moved by Councillor Thompson. It was seconded by Councillor Hook. We'll call that vote. Councillor Thompson?
Yes.
Councillor Hook?
Yes.
And Councillor Yantch?
Yes.
That motion's carried. Thank you. Okay, so when we're in the direct appointment option, did you want to add any more information to that, Christine, before we have a discussion?
I can add a couple of
few
different
details.
ways
Thank you.
we could do that. So in my research about how other municipalities have handled this very similar situation, the direct appointment usually happens one of two ways. One, they can either look to the results of the last election and approach that individual who happened to be third place in the election to see if they are interested in sitting on council, or they can put out a public notice, advertising that there is a council vacancy and requesting interested individuals to submit their intentions or their wishes through an application process to council to be considered.
Thank you, Christine. So members of council, do you have questions or comments on that? Councillor Yance?
Yes, I would like to see the application. That, to me, that would be the way to go. We can put it in the paper and online and whatever. And I think that's a fair way to do it at this time.
Thank you, Councillor Yance. Councillor Thompson?
Yeah, I agree with Councillor Yance.
Is you making that motion, Councillor Yance? That's moved by Councillor Yance that we advertise it through a public notice and interested people from Ward 1 can apply.
I'll second it.
Seconded by Councillor Thompson. Any other comments? I just had a question, Christine. So that would go through a public notice, ad in the paper, website, things like that? Okay, and then council, it would be council then that would go through these applications and make the decision.
That's correct. I do have a draft of what the notice would, I just quickly threw something together. So I do have a draft that I can read just to give you an idea of what the process would look like. It would be a public notice regarding council vacancy. Take notice that a vacancy exists on the Township of Addington Highlands Council for one councillor, and that council has determined to fill this vacancy by appointment in accordance with resolution. And of course, we would insert the resolution that just happened. The term of this position is from the date of council appointment to November 14th, 2026. A special council meeting, and that would be up to council's discretion. I do recommend that this issue be discussed in a special council meeting as opposed to trying to incorporate it into a regular council meeting. A special council meeting to appoint a successful candidate will be held on, and council would determine the date. Interested candidates shall be required to attend the appointment meeting in person. Failure to do so will result in the disqualification from the selection process. A candidate for municipal office must be qualified municipal elector as set out in the Municipal Elections Act and fulfill the following requirements, which were exactly the same as what I had put in my report. I won't reiterate them at this time. Prior to submitting an application, interested individuals should refer to the Municipal Act 2001 and the Municipal Elections Act 1996 for further details relating to the required qualifications. Any qualified individual may submit in person with identification an application form, a declaration of qualification form in a sealed envelope by 2 p.m. on a specific date that council can choose. It would be my recommendation, given that this is the route that, although you haven't voted on the resolution yet, that notice get out sooner rather than later. We want to have a lot of time for the residents and taxpayers of Addington Highlands to be notified about the vacancy.
So would that be some advertising starting prior to Christmas?
That would be my recommendation.
Okay.
Yeah.
And a meeting, when do you propose a council meeting? What's the best time frame? Because we have one meeting in January and we need to fill this by, yeah.
So we do have one meeting January the 13th. The vacancy has to be filled by February the 13th. And we have a regular council meeting on February the 2nd. I would propose that you hold your special meeting sometime between the 3rd of February and the 12th of February. Because we want to give the public as much notice time as possible.
So is that council meeting on the Tuesday,
Oh, sorry.
the 3rd?
Yep, my apologies. 3rd of February is the council meeting, so sometime between the 4th and the 12th.
I don't, so we can include this all in the same resolution. So does anyone have a preference? Is the following Tuesday? I'm just throwing that out there, the 10th.
That's fine with
Will
me.
that work for members of council, February the 10th? So you'd be advertising now and then in the new year? at least, okay?
Yes, that would be my suggestion, and we would run that notification consecutively until they close. And so if council's going to have their special meeting on the 10th of February,
Yeah.
I think we would want to have them close likely by 2 PM on the 6th.
Resolution will get longer here, so.
Sorry.
So it would include a council meeting February the 10th, and is it 1 o'clock okay? And that the application date closes on February the 6th at 2 PM. And you would be advertising prior to Christmas and in the new year as well, leading up to that date. So mover and seconder, can that be all included in that motion? Yeah. You have all that, Christine? Any other questions? Call the vote. Councillor Thompson,
Yes.
Councillor Hook.
Yes.
And Councillor Yantz.
Yes.
That motion is carried. Okay, we'll disclosure of pecuniary interest and the general nature thereof. None noted. Delegations and petitions. Item 6.1, John Corey's not present, so we will move on to item 6.2, Sally McIntyre, the Mississippi Valley Conservation Authority.
Good
Sally,
afternoon.
you're there. You can go ahead, please.
Great. I'm just going to share my screen. If you could confirm that you can see that all right.
Yes.
Great. Okay. So I'm talking to you here today about the changes that the province has proposed to conservation authorities and the creation of a new agency. So I wanted to start by just recapping how we came to be today and how we're governed. So while the legislation came in just after the Second World War, municipalities across Ontario signed on to the Conservation Authority model over time. And so it wasn't until 68 that the municipalities in our jurisdiction came together and decided they wanted to petition the province to have a Conservation Authority up here. And the model was always that local municipalities would sit on the board and govern the organization. And over the years, while initially CAs were largely funded by the province, today our CA is largely funded by municipalities such as yourselves. So what the province is proposing is significantly different. For starters, they've passed the legislation now for a new Crown agency to be formed that would oversee all the CAs in Ontario, and they want to consolidate the 36 CAs down to 7 regions. And functionally, that means that many municipalities are going to lose representation on our boards. So, for example, the region that they've proposed for Eastern Ontario has 43 municipalities. And would see us merge with 4 other conservation authorities. So the province has posted the details of what they're proposing with respect to the consolidation, and municipality CAs and others are invited to comment by December 22nd. So this is the region that they're proposing to form, and you can see us to the upper left and Highway 41 there, so where you guys are. And this area is roughly 18,000 square kilometers, 500, 46 municipalities. I think they made a correction and subsequently to the notification, and it's now 43. Interestingly, we're the only CA in that jurisdiction that has significant water control infrastructure. You may recall that the Rideau system, of course, is operated by Parks Canada. And so both the Rideau Conservation Authority and Cataraqui, they don't actually own and operate significant infrastructure. And then down in the South Nation Raisin region to the far east, it's very flat farmland, very limited kind of control structures, if any. So we're unique, given the amount of infrastructure that we both own and operate, not only our own, but for OPG and M&R. So the agency, the way the legislation is written is it provides the power of the minister to create this agency. The agency hasn't actually been formed yet, but once it does, it has very broad powers. First off, it would see the transition to these amalgamated regions. And it says it would oversee the governance. And when you look at the scope of what that includes, under the third bullet there, it has the power to issue directions on strategic budgeting, strategic planning, budgeting, asset management, all those sorts of things that are listed there, which traditionally I've always reported to our board on. So right out of the gate, there's a bit of concern about how independent our municipally led boards are going to be from this provincial agency. It's also to lead some digital strategies. The province is wanting to implement a province-wide permitting online system that all the CAs would be required to use. But here's the really interesting bit. The legislation allows the agency to charge the CAs to deliver these services to the CAs and to do cost recovery and to apportion a levy to these new regional CAs. And so this is unique to the best of our knowledge in a provincial agency charging a municipally led organization to oversee it. And there's been a lot of consternation around this because it's somewhat precedent setting if it goes ahead. So there's lots of things that unfortunately we don't know. A lot of questions have been raised across the province on how exactly this is going to work, not least of which is the municipal representation, given that, at least in our jurisdiction, 68% of our revenues comes from the municipalities, and they want to ensure that they still have a seat at the table and have pay for say. So what does that look like? It's impractical to have a board of 43, 46 municipalities governing this region. And are those powers going to overlap with this new agency? What do these levies look like? And what does that mean for individual municipalities like yourselves? Who's going to pay for the cost of amalgamation? Because any of you that experienced the municipalities or had experience with any sort of amalgamation knows that it's very costly. And it's a multi-year process to integrate the systems and payroll and HR and data systems, et cetera, of organizations. So this is a long haul exercise that is going to cost a fair amount of money. Along with these digital solutions, are those going to be provided for free by the province, or the CA is going to have to pay for those as well? And then similarly, if we're required to use these provincial systems, are we going to be charged for tech support related to those systems? And initial indications are the answer is yes, we will be charged. In that questions were raised at some of these more recent information sessions, and the answer seems to be not initially. Not initially, you won't be charged. The province will pick up the cost, but at some point, yes, you will be charged for these services from this agency. And then lastly, we have varying levels of service of these various category 2 and 3 programs across our different CAs. So those are the things like our septic inspection programs, our stewardship and education programs, those sorts of things. And so while our portion of our annual operating budget is just 5%, if you go across to some of the other CAs, it's as much as 19%. So what does that look like for municipalities such as your own that currently have a much smaller proportion of funds going towards those services? So as I already mentioned, amalgamation, it does take years to implement. It is costly. Invariably, there are service interruptions and changes to business processes. You can lose staff, during these processes. So you lose some of that historical knowledge. And our concern is that, how much of this agency is going to interfere with that process, or whether municipalities will be able to have greater influence on the phasing, timing, and what that amalgamation process looks like. So I did attend a session on December 5th and got some reassurances. There was a statement made that reserves and our assets will stay with the home CA region, so to speak. They indicated that the new agency is going to have between 10 and 12 staff and an annual budget in the order of $5 million. So that's what those future levies would be paying for. They were silent on who's going to pay for the cost of amalgamation and the digital tools. In terms of timelines, they said that once they receive all the comments by the end of this month, they'll spend January and February considering options, and then they're proposing to come down with another round of legislative changes in the spring. And then lastly, no changes would occur until 2027. So I'm just going to very briefly highlight what our submission, MVCA's submission to the Environmental Registry of Ontario is going to look like. So in summary, I mean, we're supportive of the Build Faster and the equalization of resources amongst conservation authorities. There is an imbalance, and some CAs are definitely lacking in what I would consider to be basic technical expertise in their organizations. However, such broad scale amalgamation and in such speed is high risk and high cost. And we are asking the province to pause to enable us to have greater conversation with them about these matters and potentially come up with alternative solutions to phase things in, particularly, for example, that online software. I've experienced systems where full rollout occurred, and they can be disastrous. And you want to phase these things in and maybe test run them. Adamantly, the municipalities who are paying our revenues to operate need to maintain some pay for say around the board table. And so that's very closely tied to what amalgamation looks like. And that lastly, the province needs to pay for its own agency and reimburse or support the municipalities and CAs as they implement amalgamation. So I know I've gone over my time, so I'll leave it there. And my ask of you today is if you're willing to submit a letter to the province sharing whatever you're comfortable sharing in terms of your thoughts on this matter.
Thank you, Sally, for your presentation. Do any members of council have questions for Sally? So it's open for council discussion. Go ahead, Councillor Yance.
Yes, I was at Mississippi Valley Conservation Authority meeting last week, and yes, we went through this, and the last few comments that Ms. McIntyre made are true. We certainly want to have representation as one of the things that probably we might have been left off, but it was encouraged that we stick with what we have.
Other members, Councillor Thompson?
So if I'm correct, we are bound to stay in the Mississippi Valley Conservation. We can't opt out, right? By law, we have to. Is that right, Sally?
There are ways and means, but it's not easy.
Yeah, so, well, my point about that is, I think to be municipalities and CAs, if there's too much of a cost, that they're just gonna say, we're pulling out, you know? And, the CAs are gonna suffer and, everything that's associated with it. I just think it's gonna be, if the government's taking it over, it's gonna be a large increase, there's no doubt about that.
Councillor Yance?
Yes, and just one more comment. I think that asking the provincial government to put this on pause for a while and let's think this through. This is a real big step from start to finish. And honestly, I cannot understand why we would need another agency, provincial agency to oversee this. I think it's just too much weight at the top. And yeah.
Deputy Reeve Hook?
I guess I wonder what the reasoning of the Ontario government to do this. Is it to centralize government to have more control over the CAs, or is it an effort to save money? And when you bring in another level of government, I don't know how you're going to save money that way. And the last point that Sally had there, not charging the municipalities for this extra level of government. As we all know, there's only one ratepayer, so you charge it through the municipality or you charge it through general taxation. So in the end, we all pay for it. So, and I said before, I think it's better the devil we know, the devil we don't know. We know what we're dealing with the CAs. We just don't know what is going to be coming, if what's going to happen if province takes control of it. So.
Councillor Thompson?
I think also, with the provincial government, with their build faster, so it's stated in this legislation that, they can override any decisions made by a municipality or by a CA. So, when we're talking about environment and building, like, they could say, well, no, we're gonna build in that wet space, you know what I mean? Like, what they're saying is they want to run it all, basically, and take it away from CAs. That's,
Okay, so later in the agenda, we have a draft resolution. However, this is a question around, also around, should we be writing a letter in addition to this, stating that, I know you were sort of suggesting, Councillor Yance, that the main thrust of it is, and Sally was referring to, is let's just put a hold on it, requesting, the main request is as a pause on this, so there's can be some more consultation and discussion. Did you want to make that motion?
Sure, to write a letter?
Yeah.
I'll do that.
Christine, do you need any details on that right now? Or do we have enough based on what we're receiving from the conservation authorities and our membership in it?
I believe that I do have enough, and probably what we'll do is we'll take the resolution that council is considering later in the meeting. That will form part of the basis of the letter. But we would also then include that the request for them to put perhaps a moratorium on this process until larger fulsome considerations can be made. Will that work? Is that okay?
Okay, so we have a motion that we do write a letter, and that'll be part of the resolution or included with it that will be discussed later in this meeting. It's been moved by Councillor Yance, second by Deputy Reeve Hook. We'll call the vote. Councillor Thompson?
yes.
Deputy Reeve Hook?
Yes.
Councillor Yance?
Yes.
That motion is carried. Anything else you want to add, Sally, before we move on?
No, and thank you very much for your time today. Have a great afternoon.
Great. Same to you. Thanks, Sally. Move on to matters for consideration. Item 7.1 is the Ontario Provincial Police Annual Billing Statement. What it looks to me, and you may want to add to this, Christine, but it looks to me like They've capped it, they have to cap it at an 11% increase. So they've capped it at 11% increase, but if they were charging us the full amount, it's more than double that. Yeah, I had 29%, you came up with 30. So if we were to pay what they wanted to bill us for 2026, it'd be a 30% increase. But because the OPP, the provincial government, forced a cap on the OPP billing increase for 2026 at 11%, ours is capped at 11%. However, the additional cost is going somewhere, so someone's paying for it. Did you want to add anything to that, Christine? Sorry, does anyone have any comments or questions? Go ahead, Deputy Reeve Hook.
So it appears that our monthly bill will be $74,454. Kristen, you probably have already done the math. What is the increase going to represent as a increase on our budget?
Sorry, I never do that. It would be the 11%, but what that calculates into the percentage rate, unfortunately, Deputy Reeve Hook, I haven't had a chance to do that. Henry used to be really fast at this. So we levied about 2%. Ah. Refresh also.
Sorry, I had already calculated.
So about 2% on the net amount to levy,
How much was that?
2%.
2%.
So that's 2% gone before we get into
Yeah,
any other of our operational costs.
substantial. Yeah.
That's a lot of money.
Yeah.
So that's 2% in every single ratepayer that's sitting in the audience or that's in their municipality.
Before we have an increase on anything.
With no end in sight.
No, and it'll be interesting to see how we eventually catch up. 11% to 30% is a huge difference. And so how we ever manage to actually get to the actual, I don't know how that's going to work.
Councillor Thompson?
And just for people watching, they probably don't know, or maybe don't know, but it's the bill is $893,000, so it's a lot.
Yes, and to Christine's comment too, the catch-up is, yeah, because they're capping us at 11 and it should be in their mind 30, so that's the other 2/3 is going to have to be caught up somehow in future years. Anyway, that's kind of where we're at. I don't think there's anything we can do about it. We've already objected to it in many ways, so. So are there any other questions, comments? So there is I guess we just a motion to receive this and deferred, I guess, yeah.
Yes,
Deferred to budget. Yeah.
I'll make that motion.
Moved by Councillor Thompson, seconded by Councillor Yantch. Call the vote. Councillor Thompson,
Yes.
Deputy Reeve Hook.
Yes.
Councillor Yantch.
Yes.
And that motion's carried. Item 7.2, Northbrook Gas and Variety, request for permission to sell alcohol on statutory holidays in 2026. Moved by Deputy Reeve Hook to, I guess, receive and approve. Second by Councillor Yantch. We'll call the vote. Councillor Thompson,
Yes.
Deputy Reeve Hook.
Yes.
Councillor Yantch.
Yes.
And that motion is carried. Item 17 is the request from Marlene McLean to waive hall and rink rental fees, insurance, and special event permits for a KFLNA Alzheimer's Society fundraiser on February 26, 2026. So that would be in Flinton. So any comments, questions? Deputy Hook?
Just have a question to staff if they have any concerns. This is different than the last one, especially at where the trailer is going to go. And I wonder if Brad, Christine have any concerns? I at first take, I thought it would be easier for the horse and sleigh or carriage go down the streets. That would be easier than trying to plow a path because we don't know what the winter's going to be like by that point. But does that make sense?
It all depends, right? What the winter's what the winter brings, right? There's a lot of variables that can play into it, right? So we tend to have restricted parking when we get late into the winter at the parking lot there. So we would probably have to do some snow removal and stuff like that around the parking area. So there will be some additional work that would need to be done to accommodate things, I would say, for sure.
Councillor Yance?
It's just around the same idea. Would it be better that they just use a horse and wagon instead of a sleigh maybe? Then the streets wouldn't be an issue, would it?
I'm not sure where they're planning on going exactly with the sleigh. I'm thinking more parking in the parking lot type of thing and around the rink area. So that would be more my concern than I mean, the sleigh is going to go where the sleigh goes, whether they go down the. I'm not sure about the route. I haven't looked at the route that they're planning on taking. So.
I don't think it's been determined. I think they're waiting, I think to work with staff about which the better approach is. It is 70 people that they're proposing, they're thinking that would be there. So I think we probably could accommodate for 70. Hopefully not everyone drives individually. But I think the actual route itself was, I think, going to be slightly left in the air till we determine what the conditions are and where the best place to do that.
Next comment I have is also these events are obviously very good events. You're doing fundraising for a specific worthwhile cause. It's also trying to ensure that we don't overload the municipality with too many things that we're trying to do to set up a site. But we do, it's not unusual for us to assist in setting up a site or doing some prep work. But that will be, if this is approved, then staff would be, as you point out, Christine, working with the organizers, just trying to keep that in balance, I guess, so that we don't commit to more than we can, I guess, deliver with the staff we have and the hours that we have to work. So. Deputy Reeve Hook?
I'd make a motion to support in principle with the details to be worked out with staff and Marlene and committee.
Mover, seconded by Councillor Yance. Any other comments from members of council, or Christine, do you have any other comments? Not this time. Okay, thank you. Call the vote. Councillor Thompson?
Yes.
Deputy Reeve Hook?
Yes.
Councillor Yance?
Yes.
And that motion is carried. Item 7.4, resolution from the municipality of Calvin. It's all related to the province, request from the province, both the province and the government to strengthen your ability to, I guess, essentially protect yourself and your property. I won't read the entire thing. It's from the municipality of Calvin. For anybody who doesn't know where it is, it's in the Mattawa area. So, council, what are your wishes? Deputy Reeve Hook?
Motion to receive and support.
Receive and support, moved by Deputy Reeve Hook, seconded by Councillor Yance. Any other comments? Call the vote. Councillor Thompson?
Yes.
Deputy Reeve Hook?
Yes.
Councillor Yance?
Yes.
And that motion is carried. Item 7.5 is a resolution from the City of Brantford related to the next and any other future municipal elections to essentially direct all publicly funded school boards to include a PA day on the same day as the municipal election. Obviously, the reasons are so that the school property, a gym or whatever room they have would be used for the election and it wouldn't cause a whole bunch of other issues with the kids there at the same time. So that's the draft. What are your wishes, council? Councillor Thompson,
It's only once every 4 years, so I don't, it's not a big deal, I don't think, so I would approve it.
moved by Councillor Thompson to receive and support,
I'll second that.
seconded by Councillor Yantch. Any other comments? Deputy Reeve Hook?
I would support this if they were going to move a PA day to an election day, but not create a new one. Because we're having a hard enough time. I was just reading in the Globe and Mail where more than half of the Ontario grade 6 students are not meeting the math test requirements and 42% of the grade 9. So we're missing a lot of school now with snow days, and we don't need an additional PA day. We need to keep the kids in school. So that's just my concern, but I will still support the motion.
Do you, mover and seconder, do you want to include in the motion that we receive and support it and that it would be no additional PA days?
Can we do that?
Can we do that, Christine? Yeah.
Yeah, you can. I would, so how this works when council supports a resolution from another municipality, I write a letter to that municipality advising them that council supports their resolution. And I would just add a little note that our support is for it to be incorporated into the number already assigned for PA days and not create an additional one. I can do that.
Okay, so mover and seconder okay with that, so we will call the vote. Councillor Thompson,
Yes.
Deputy Reeve Hook.
Yes.
Councillor Yantch.
Yes.
And that motion is carried. Section 8 is matters for information. Could I have a motion to receive all matters for information? Moved by Councillor Thompson, second by Councillor Yantch. Does anyone want to bring out any item in there? Go ahead, Councillor Yantch.
So I noticed that there's a couple thank you notes in here, one in particular from the Mazenod Swim Program. This is just a great program that's been going on for over 53 years now. And I hate to say it, but I was on that first committee 53 years ago, but that's okay. And it's also including not only children, but adults as well. And I think that's really, really good. So kudos to them and thank you for your thank you note.
Thank you. There's one other item I just wanted to briefly comment on is 8.1 is from the Ministry of Municipal Affairs and Housing, a financial indicator review of our township. If anyone so wishes, when they go home, they can look this up and read those many pages. But essentially, the drift of it is our municipality is in decent financial shape. No other comments? We'll call the vote. Councillor Thompson,
Yes.
Deputy Reeve Hook.
Yes.
Councillor Yantch.
Yes.
And that motion is carried. Reports of committees and boards. Community Control Group ahead. Personal Finance, Properties and Recreation, we're meeting tomorrow night. Working group, no. Library Board? No, nothing. Joint Fire Committee? Friday. Okay, we'll move on to section 10, reports of officers. Item 10.11 is the roads and waste update. Brett, do you want to speak to that?
Thank you. So update on the roads. We obviously we've been busy with winter operations, and it seems like it started early this year and is continuing on. So we did top up the Northbrook Dome, and it's filled the capacity there now. So we did not do it earlier in the fall, so it's not an additional fill up that we're doing early. It was just we waited and filled it up later in the year this year. So as far as the new tandem plow truck that we're supposed to be getting, it's been delayed again. Last I heard, which was last week, by all hopes, it'll be the first part of March type of thing before we get it. So I've stressed our displeasure with the situation, I guess is the best way to put it. And I don't know. We have to look at what changes we need to make in the future to make things work. But I don't think any other municipalities in that are, I think we're all in the same boat type of thing that way, so. Also want to remind all the residents about parking on township roads that hinders winter maintenance operations. It's not legal and vehicles can be towed. And also plowing snow across the road is the same. There can be fines laid and for those actions if they're plowing snow across the road and depositing on township road. As far as waste sites, winter works continuing. Traffic volumes at the waste sites are down compared to summer months, obviously. CMO has sent us a revised agreement. I think you received it yesterday, or an amendment to our agreement for recycling, so we can commingle our recycling in the bins. And Christine and I were going to review it, and then we'll get it signed and get it back with, as discussed earlier. So one other thing, I didn't put it in my report, but the pothole program that the government was put out there, our municipality did fill out the application. We haven't received anything back yet. So we'll see how that goes, but the application's been filled anyways, so. Oh, yes, the deadline was extended to the 19th, so it'll be a bit before we get any information on that, so. That's it for now.
Thanks, Brett. Any questions for Brett? See any questions? You have a motion to receive Brett's report. Moved by Deputy Reeve Hook, second by Councillor Thompson. Call the vote. Councillor Thompson,
Yes.
Deputy Reeve Hook.
Yes.
Councillor Yetch.
Yes.
That motion's carried. Brett, and we're on to the next item, the updated recycling guidelines.
So obviously, as of January 1st, 2026, recycling guidelines are changing. Otherwise, we wouldn't have this on the agenda. Anyways, it's most of the stuff is positive. There's no reduction in recycling. So pretty well everything that is going in now can be done in the future. There are some additions. For example, toothpaste tubes, chip bags, other bags can all be put in the recycling. So we've did up a quick little pamphlet that we would like to distribute at the waste sites, just as a heads up for everybody. We'll have to change our recycling guidelines as part of the bylaw, the waste bylaw. And that is going to be on a future item in the agenda. I don't know whether anybody has any questions. I know there was some of it doesn't really make sense when you look at it. I agree, but it's the way they want it divided out. So we're just going to do what they ask. So.
Thanks, Brett. I just had a comment because I'd asked Brett a couple of questions because flexible plastic packaging is in with the paper fiber group. Anyway, for anyone who's listening, this is standard across the province. So no matter where you go, starting next January 1st, everyone will be working under the same recycling guidelines. So what products will be taken will be no different. in Northern Ontario, Western Ontario, or where we live. So that's all, which is a good thing. So you have questions for Brett on this? Go ahead, Deputy Hook.
Something noticeable is that they do not want any alcoholic beverage cans or glass materials. And now, would that constitute contamination in a load?
I would hate to say that it would, but I don't know how they're gonna, how strict they're gonna be on this stuff. I know they're concerned about contamination, but, the contamination I think that they're more concerned about is stuff that, like diapers going in, or people not rinsing out their bottles or leaving a half bottle of ketchup in the recycling type of thing. I think that's more the contamination they're concerned about. I can't see there being an issue if there's a beer can versus a pop can, or how they're even going to be able to tell if it's crushed, right? So I don't know, honestly, that I don't know how that will be looked at. I mean, there are some spots available still where you can take beer and beer bottles and wine bottles and all that stuff back to, but they're getting fewer and farther between. But there are some other good spots where you can support locally, right? Like support your Lions Club by taking the bottles to their facilities, or some of our waste site facilities have spots there where you can drop off them for the Lions Club as well. So.
Go
I
ahead.
just was going to recommend that, and we're probably going to do this anyways, when we send out our news, it'll be in the newsletter, the news schedule and Facebook and website, just to remind people that the Lions will take the cans and bottles. And other than that, there's no place locally, I mean, short of Tweed, is there that anybody will take them right now?
Yes, you can, in Denbigh here, Glacier Store takes them. Yes, yeah.
I wasn't aware. Okay, good.
Are there any other questions for Brett on this? Yeah, it's just a little odd that they focused on alcoholic containers, those, yeah, anyway. To me, it defies logic, but onward we go. So, no other questions? We have a recommendation here that we receive the report and approve those guidelines. Moved by Councillor Thompson, second by Councillor Yantch. Call the vote, Councillor Thompson,
Yes.
Deputy Hook.
Yes,
Councillor Yantch.
Yes.
That motion is carried. And now Brett, on to bridge, item 10.13, Bridge Street Culvert update.
Just gonna get it opened up here. So I have provided council here some information, but I kind of like to keep that confidential, just depending on how things proceed in the future. I just wanted to give you some information ahead of our talk here. Received a draft application for the Department of Fisheries and Oceans for our Bridge Street culvert application. We have two prices for a multi-plate option. The polymer coating one, you're looking at 50 to 70 years type of thing for lifespan. That can be shortened if you damage the culvert. So if let's say the bucket from the excavator hits it when it's being put together and it damages the polymer coating and you don't see it, then it'll start to rust, right? So that can significantly shorten lifespans if you damage the culvert as you're putting it in. I do have a precast price as well. Just for the culvert, it was around 351,000. So and it has approximately 100-year lifespan is what they predict. And I've been talking with one contractor, and they would have no problem if we wanted to purchase a pipe and they would go ahead. But I also do have a quotation that was provided from that same contractor with the culvert included. I've talked to our fisheries specialist or our environmental person about the size of the culvert because it's a little bit narrower, but it's a higher, so it takes the same volume of water. And he didn't think that would be a problem with DFO. We would have to, I have also reached out to the MNR about the dam, whether we'd be able to lower the water, going through the dam to make a lower water table so that we could put the culvert in. There'd be coffer damming of some sort on the lakeside to maintain the level at the lake. And then there'd be some water that would be pumped or diverted around the dammed off area, right, and back into the creek, so the water would be flowing there through the process. The one contractor I did talk to, he figured a week max type of thing to do the work. But obviously we got to get all the approvals. We got to get the hydro pole moved. There's still some stuff to happen before we could move ahead with the work. Now, the one contractor that provided the quote here, he said if we let them know this week, they said they could have the concrete culvert for the 1st of February, and they would aim to get the work done shortly after that. But obviously there's purchasing policy requirements that would need to be met. And so my recommendation, first of all, if we're going ahead with a culvert, I prefer the concrete culvert. It's going to give us 100 years versus 50 to 70 type of thing. It is more money, but that would be my preference. And then if we want to award a quote at this point, then we council has a right to do so. It's been a high priority item for council since this happened. So I don't want to bypass any procurement policies. So that would have to be a council decision on how they want to proceed. As far as quotes, we can probably get other quotes, I presume. I don't know how long it would take. Maybe a couple of weeks type of thing. I could have some quotes, I presume. And then we just have to, it might just delay that 2 weeks down the road type of thing before we can get on to the work. So I've given you a lot of information that came after the report, so I apologize for that. But I wanted you to have all the details that I had at this moment, I guess. It's been changing daily as we go. So any questions, I guess, is the best way to start. Yeah.
Well, for starters, on the box culvert, I'm not in favor of the extra $200,000 for the box culvert. You know, it's a lot of money for the taxpayers to absorb. We just not done talking about the tax. We've already got a 2% increase before we even started. I mean, 70 years, I don't know what's going to happen in 70 years. None of us are going to be here to see it. So, but I'm just saying, like, I think the $200,000 difference in the price between that and a multi-plate culvert is too much, but.
I'll make a comment to that. That was the pricing when I got it directly from the suppliers. So for the multi-plate and for the box culvert, I talked to suppliers directly. When I got the quotes from the one contractor, there's only $50,000 between the box culvert and the multi-plate.
for all the work completed together. So so it's a lot more reasonable. That's the way that's the only reason why I would lean to if it was $200,000, I agree with you 100%. Yeah.
Oh, you said it was $300,000.
Oh, yeah, that was for the box culvert by itself and the contractor must be getting different pricing than the suppliers are giving me for the culverts, so.
Oh, okay, because I heard the term
Yeah.
300,000.
Yeah.
I'm thinking compared to 100,000. Well,
Yeah. No, I agree with you 100%. If there's gonna be $200,000 difference that would make all the difference in the world. But when they're in the quotes that you have in front of you, I think there's only $40,000 or $50,000 difference. Yeah, so,
some of the things that are on here, so I don't want to get too into this too much because we don't know what we're going to do yet. But I mean, these steps that they're talking, is that what they're recommending be done? Like a species relocation? I don't quite understand.
that's just all, if they have to move fish out, then they can move fish out of the pool, right?
But that's a pretty significant sum.
Yeah, but that's dewatering as well, right?
So you're talking about taking the water out of there.
So yeah, you cannot put it
Right.
in
I
wet.
understand.
So you're gonna have to dewater that area. So you have to account that there could be a fish in there that needs to be moved downstream someplace, right? So I'm not an expert on that. Don't get me
Right.
wrong, but yeah, you have to be aware of those situations that could arise too,
Right.
right?
So
So-
that, like another one is like the removal of the asphalt or the surface treatment. I don't know why you pay for that because you're going to excavate it anyways. You know what I mean? It's
It's-
an extra
it's-
cost to the
it's-
top. I don't
It's not
understand.
an extra cost. You're gonna pay for it one way or the other. So, if, they just break it down in those items so that it shows,
Right, okay.
it shows it. So,
So I just don't know whether we should do an RFQ or just go with a direct bid.
Councilor Thompson, can I just continue that part of the discussion then? So I have questions both for Christine and or Brett both may contribute to that. Answer is because we obviously want to get the best price and have the right product and the right work done. So if there's a minor incremental difference between a metal culvert and a box culvert, when I say minor in the bigger scheme of things, then it would make sense because of the longer lifespan. But we also want to manage the public's money wisely. So obtaining other quotes I think procedurally, Christine asked the question, if we went out for additional quotes, we don't want to hold this process up till we ratchet ourselves out of the middle of the March deadline, and then it'll be months after that. So where we could authorize the manager of roads and waste and yourself, once we decide sort of which direction we want to go, to obtain additional quotes. There's two ways we could go: obtain additional quotes and award the contract as they see fit, or otherwise we need another council meeting. There's two ways to go to bring it back to a special council meeting, which could be, I assume it could be virtual council meeting as well. Would need to be in person. I'm not sure procedurally if you have thoughts on which way we would go, because obviously we don't want to just have wasted idle time here waiting for our approvals while Brett's working ahead, and still, Brett, you think you can obtain more quotes or on this?
I presume so. I know there's other contractors in the area. This was unsolicited. This was, I was talking to, I was picking people's brains, right? So, so it was unsolicited. I just thought I'd give you an idea where this contractor is kind of thinking, so.
Go ahead, Councillor Thompson.
So, I mean, if we were to put out, bids, we could still go ahead and order the culvert, right? Like, it's not gonna hold up, it wouldn't hold up the installation. I mean, if we put out the bids and asked them in 2 weeks, say the second week of January, I don't know what's possible, but so then you award that right away. Well, that's in place, you know what I mean? And the culvert's coming, so like everything's ready to go. Like, we don't have to wait till we have somebody awarded the contract to order the culvert.
So
What I'm saying is I just like to see if we could get it moved up, that it can be all done kind of, even if the contractor wanted to go ahead and dig it out before it even gets here, you know what I mean? That's not that saves a big bunch of time, but it's a different option.
And now that's the original option that I had thought of, I guess, was ordering a culvert ahead and try and make things work, because I didn't want to slow things down. But if for the sake of 1 or 2 weeks, like if I reach out to a couple local contractors here, so we have a comparison type of thing, and just get some quotes, like we could have it, probably we could have an option. We could have it probably then the first week of January, maybe second week of January type of thing. I don't know how quickly they're going to be able to come out and take a look at the location. So,
I just know, I know one company's already looked at it and is already prepared a bid, so,
okay.
it's
Well, no, and that's fine. Then if they've done that, then like I'm definitely
Yeah.
open to it, and maybe we can talk side here, and I'll get their contact information,
Yeah.
and we can get some
Okay.
pricing. What's your recommendation, Christine, as far as the procurement policy? Like, if we start to go into, are we just gonna, we could do a limited bid, or what's the best option, do you think? Or
I'm not quite sure what you mean by a limited bid, but I can describe what the township's procurement policy is. So a project of this dollar value technically requires the full-on RFQ process, because it's over $50,000, technically has to come back to council for approval. There is a section in the procurement policy which does allow council the discretion in an emergency to deviate from those policies should you see fit. You're going to want to make sure that that's very spelled out in a resolution. So first, before I go on from that, if you want to split, you need to determine how you're going to approach the project. If we're going to procure the culvert on our own, then your RFQ is going to be completely different. So instead of supply and install the culvert, it's just going to be the installation of a culvert that we already have, which then the price probably will come down significantly, because the bulk of the cost is the culvert. So firstly, you need to figure out which direction you want to go. And then secondly, council does have the discretion to delegate. So if council, for the sake of time, because if we miss that March window, then we're going to be, what is the next possible?
I believe it's July 15th or something like that, before you can start working again. So
Right. So staff can prepare the RFQ, circulate that once we decide what we're shopping for, essentially. Prepare that RFQ, circulate it. Once those results come back, then they could have the discretion to award that within certain parameters that council stipulates. Or secondly, council can have a special meeting to make that decision early on in January if that's what they wish. Did I answer what?
yeah, no, I just the only thing I was wondering about is, can you do an invitation only type bid for that? It's kind of yeah, I think you gotta just publish it
I
and go,
think you have to
so.
publish it. To
Yeah.
be honest, it's, the invitational tenders are typically $10,000 and less.
Mhm.
So I think if we're following the letter of the procurement policy, it should be something that's widely advertised. And it is unfortunate that it is Christmas coming up because we're gonna lose some time.
So a comment I have here, just trying to think this through, is it's a slow time of year for contractors typically, so getting the contractor won't be the issue. It'll be getting the culvert. So early enough. So if we don't award a contract until we get into January and the culvert takes 6 weeks or more to get, we are already in the middle to end of February, which is probably a little late. So if we split this and we buy the culvert, maybe it's not the most efficient. I don't know. But maybe it is. Where we decide which type of culvert we want and we buy it by obtaining some quotes, and then we go out for the full, the complete process for the installation. Those two things aren't connected, and we're obviously going to have the culvert in time for when the contractor is ready, and we have extra time then to get competitive bidding on the installation. Because theoretically, you wouldn't think that the price of the culvert would be a huge differential between suppliers. Maybe there is, it's just a matter of profit margin, but I'm just asking, like, if we split the two, is it logistically a better thing to do to get us so that we can get this culvert replaced by mid-March?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, we can do that. No problem. We'll have to decide on what type of culvert that we're gonna go with, I guess. I'm still waiting on other quotes on the culverts, so I think the multi-plate culvert was a 6 to 8 week delivery, and the other one was, I think it was February 1st delivery for the concrete culvert, is what they had said, so.
Right, so we don't want to wait till after Christmas to award either one of those contracts. Not really.
Not
I mean, for
really, so,
the
yeah,
actual product.
for the product, so.
Yeah.
That's gonna be your biggest holdup at this point. I mean, other than we still got a hydro pole sitting in the center of
Yeah.
the culvert there that that's not moved yet, so.
Yeah. Go ahead, Christine.
If I could just ask one question of Brett. Do you foresee any challenges with a contractor being willing to install a culvert we've already procured?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I mean, I've talked to one contractor and he's willing to do it, and I presume that, typically that's not
Okay.
an issue, depending on whether they have the labor or the expertise to do that work, right? So,
I just wanted to clarify because we would hate to procure a culvert and then not be able to find a contractor that's willing to install something that's been purchased by someone else.
well, and yeah, and there's going to be some contractors will prefer installation using a different type of culvert
Right.
than, but
If you
I
think
guess
we're okay, then, okay.
Deputy Refolk.
I kind of had the same question. Can we get the concrete culvert at the price that's on this quote? Do you think? Or is it going to cost us more?
I don't know. The price on the quote is significantly less than the price I got. So,
I guess it's like if you buy carpeting, the installer likes to have the sale of the carpet too.
Mhm.
Otherwise, there's a different price
yeah.
for the
Um,
installation.
So, and granted, the pricing he got on the quote there was a different size culvert than what I priced, so I might be able to get a better price, on if I price the same size of culvert, so.
I think we're obligated to try and get extra quotes, but we can be very very fast on the award date. Could we not even make it December 31st? We're still, it's a short turnaround, but if we can get the RFP out quick enough, so it doesn't give the contractors much time, but if they're very interested, it's a site visit and paperwork. Right? You could probably crank out a quote in a day. So we're meeting our obligations and we're not really delaying the process. And if we can go ahead and order the culvert and make the contractors aware of why we're ordering the culvert to speed things up because it's kind of an emergency, I think we've got all the bases covered.
So I guess continue, so that's based on it being split, right? Buy the culvert and go out with an RFP for the installation separately? That's what your train of thought is, okay. So the issue of buying the culvert, we have to decide which style we want. And yeah, and you can go, you don't have to go with a full scale RFP for that, and Christine. You can go for quotes.
Technically speaking, we would probably have to do the RFP, RFQ. But I think we could.
We should
it's
be able to
such
justify
specialty-
it.
It's such a specialty purchase, right? So the purpose of advertising in the paper is to ensure that the local community and the community, broader community, has the ability to bid on something should they choose to. Not a lot of people carry culverts of this size or this style. So I think we could probably do the invitational quotation thing. So Brett, call around, get multiple prices, and determine from there which way to go. I think that would be fine. I think you want the RFQ though for the installation.
Yeah, I would agree with you.
Councillor Thompson, go ahead.
You quoted that we could get the box culvert by February the 1st, probably. But you had mentioned earlier that the ministry had some reservations about how the water, because the culvert was going to be a different size, about water flow, and so they never said anything about a box culvert.
That I was talking with our consultant, they don't think that the DFO is gonna have any issues with either style,
Oh, okay.
in particular. As long as they have the capacity to handle the water, basically. So
There's not that much water flow.
there, it's deceiving when you get there and look at the water. So it depends of the year, the time of
Like I
the year,
said,
right? So
when you block that off, the lake's not gonna rise a foot, you know what I mean?
not in a week, no.
So that's not really kind of the issue, but
Mhm.
yeah, so for the safety of trying to get it done in time, I would be more inclined to go with a box culvert as opposed to a steel culvert. If that could guarantee we get it by the 1st of February, well, then we got lots of time to get it in.
Yeah, as long as we can get it at a reasonable
Right.
price, right?
Yeah.
Like get
Yeah.
it down closer to what
Yeah.
some of the other
yeah,
prices
yeah.
is. I agree with you. Like $200,000 more is it's not feasible for us. So
Councillor Yance?
So just let me get this straight. So we're going to purchase whatever culvert we decide we're going to do, and then tomorrow Brett is going to order that? Is that how that's going to work? So we can have it here and make sure it's going to be here? You know how over Christmas time, things get sort of left,
Yeah.
not by us, but you know, big companies have other obligations or whatever. I just want to make sure that it's going to happen, and if not, if we just stuck to the contractor getting the culvert and doing the work all at once, if we did that in the next, if we ask for RFQs before and get that done. I'm not quite sure. I just don't want any, I just don't want any holdups or glitches. That's all.
Yeah. Hey, Councillor Thompson?
So anyways, in that, I would think that if you were going to go with box culvert and you have that much room, you could ward it like the whole thing to a contractor, say, here it is, you guys take it. With understanding that it has to be done by, you know, the end of February.
Or are you talking about getting,
If we didn't want to be bothered buying it ourselves, we put the RFQ out, say, you supply and install the box culvert, and it has to be done by the end of February. They have lots of time to get it. You know what I mean?
yeah, they should have time. Depending, I mean, I haven't been taught, like they were saying
yeah.
I think they were saying February 1st, if we got it placed, the order placed this week, but
Mhm.
you get your 2 weeks, you're gonna be the first part of January type of thing before, if we went with another contract, if we're gonna include it in our contract, right? So,
Well, I guess we'll have to decide that.
Yeah, you're kind of in an awkward spot, right? Because you really don't know how it's going to play out. So it's trying to sort of make the best decision for the municipality, the best decision for installation, so it kind of flows without us getting held up unnecessarily. And on the surface, I would draw the conclusion that try to find the culvert, get that order made and get it made as soon as we soon, you know, within the next week or something. Do we require, and can we get quotes for just the culvert within the week or something? Brett, do you think that's possible?
I think so. They're usually fairly quick at getting back to us. So.
Guess it'll be up to council, but if you went ahead and with the culvert, you can decide which style we want first and split this to, I'm just thinking, you probably have less chance of something really going wrong because it buys you more time to actually get a contractor in place through the RFP or RFQ process. Yeah.
You like a motion to that effect?
Add something, Christine?
Just clarification, so that if the manager in Roads and Waste obtains in the next week quotations on the selected style of culvert that council picks, is council giving him the authority to go ahead and order that culvert? That is something that should be considered in the resolution. And then at the same time, we issue the RFQ for the installation of the culvert and have those due back before, I would say, your January 13th meeting. And I think that probably gives enough time.
All right, I would make that motion. In those exact words, what Jude said, just what you just said. You'll remember it.
So
Sorry, I don't want to confuse things, but I want, do you want to set a dollar value type of thing? Or instead of a culvert type, do you know what I mean? Like if, I don't know how you want to look at it, because there is benefits to going with concrete if it's going to last an extra 50 to 30 years, right? There is benefits to that. But I just want to make sure everything's clear. So
may I ask a question? So Brett, you're thinking the actual metal culvert is in the $100,000 range, give or take?
yeah,
And I know you have one quote on the box culvert, but when you go out for quotes, would it be you would hope in the $150,000 range or something like that? I'm just throwing it out. I'm not trying to put you on well, I guess I'm putting you on the spot, but
yeah, I'm thinking in that range. It might be. Yeah, I don't know exactly what it's going to be, honestly. So that's the difference in the two quotes that we have, but in front of us. But whether that is.
okay, so council could make a resolution that there's different ways to go here. Say we set a cap at 175 or something. I'm just throwing a number out there with our preference to be a box culvert and our backup to be a metal one, so that you have the discretion that if your quotes for the box culvert all come in, $300,000, that you still have a quote you can award. But it would be for a metal culvert. That's kind of a, that's a,
Part of my motion that we'll do that. We'll have a cap at 175 on the procurement of the culvert or the box culvert,
Okay.
whichever.
And that the preference is the box culvert. However, if we can't
However,
procure
if
that under the
If
175,
it's
then
not
we
that
go with
price,
the
then we
other.
don't.
does that seem reasonable, Brett? I'm just throwing out some
Yep.
suggestion here. to
Yep, that
keep it
seems, that
moving.
seems reasonable, I would think. Yeah,
Okay, and intent is that would be awarded within the next week or something, as soon as you could get some competitive quotes.
yeah.
Councillor Yance?
Now, are these really going to be competitive? Are they going to be like if a contractor phoned them up, are we going to get that same price? I'm worried about that. Are we not, we're not going to get that. We're just going to get, somebody wants to buy a culvert, so here's the price. That's what I'm worried about, where if we had a contractor doing it, they might, get a better price. Because they know they're working to, make a profit, where we just need a culvert. Yeah.
That's the risk you take, right? By doing it the way we're doing it. It's kind of a timing thing, right? So it's a risk you would take. So you would hope when you're talking to multiple contractors that they're going to be somewhat competitive, or multiple suppliers are going to be somewhat competitive, right? So
Yeah, and probably the biggest risk is that the concrete one would end up being more expensive, because there's more expensive in the sense you're probably going to if you're going to get more competitive bids, it's likely going to be on the metal one. But who knows? We don't know that. Okay, so we had a draft resolution. Are you able to read it, or is it in point form? Did you want to add anything, Brett? Are you okay with that approach?
and then I'll get once I get the culvert stuff done, then I'll get the RFP posted and we'll go from there. So
Yeah, the intent with the RFP would be out.
Yeah.
In the same timeline.
Yeah.
Yeah. However, they have a longer time, obviously, to 3 or 4 weeks they have to get
Yeah.
that together.
Yeah.
Christine?
With respect to the RFP, we're probably going to have to do it sort of a pronged approach. You're going to have to do an invitational. You're going to have to send them out to directed contractors. Because looking at the calendar, unless the newspaper is running on Christmas Day and New Year's Day, we actually won't get that in the paper until the 6th. So we'll put it out on our website. We'll put it on social media, but you're going to have to directly send it to not suppliers, installers.
yeah, that's what I
Yeah.
typically have done in the past. So
Okay, we'll get it in the paper one time.
okay.
And the request for quotes on the culvert is invitational as well. But you're just doing that directly and it's not advertised. But the installation is invitational, but it is advertised. Okay. Councillor Yance.
And what's the date that we're going to give these, contractors to, have their quote in? I'm just worried that we can get dawdled along the time here.
My recommendation would have it back in time for the agenda for the 13th of January. So we would need it back, well, the paper is going to be difficult. As long as we have it back by the 9th, we can incorporate it in. We'll do an addendum to include it.
January 9th, and that's on the bids or quotes for the installation.
For the installation, yep.
Okay. Councillor Deputy Hook.
I think there's a motion on the floor, but if Christine could read it back, the point form, I might second that one.
Okay. So far we have moved by Counselor Thompson that staff be instructed to obtain pricing on a box culvert and a multi-plate culvert. And that the manager of roads and waste be authorized to procure the culvert at a cap of $175,000, with the preference being the box culvert. And further, that staff develop an RFQ for the installation of the culvert, with that due back the 9th of January.
I'll second that. Thank you.
Second by Deputy Reeve Hook. All members of council have a reasonably clear understanding? Great, okay. Any other comments? Call the vote. Councillor Thompson.
It was a little drawn out, but yes.
Deputy Reeve Hook.
Yes.
Councillor Yantch.
Yes.
And that motion is carried. Well, thank you everyone for that. It was a prolonged discussion, but it's important, and there was really, we've been scrambling, everyone's been scrambling, trying to get information on this so we can make decisions. Okay, we'll move on. No report from the CBO. Item 10.3.1 from the CEO Clerk Treasurer, non-unionized employees 2026 wage increase.
Thank you. So traditionally, the compensation increases which are given to the unionized employees are extended to the non-unionized employees in council. The unionized employees, that gets all hashed out during union negotiations, and that's in place for 4 years. The negotiated increase for the unionized employees for 2026 for the lead hands was 3.2%. The operators was 3.5%, and wayside custodians were 4%. Attached to the report included in your agenda is the 2026 salary grid for non-unionized employees, depicting a 3.5% compensation increase, consistent with the average increase that was received by the unionized employees for council's consideration. Just a little note, it is slightly below the average, but for reasonable math, it was right around that 3.5%. So the recommendation on the report is that it be resolved that the report prepared by the CAO Clerk Treasurer regarding the 2026 salary grid for non-unionized employees be received, and further that the proposed 2026 salary grid for non-unionized staff be approved, and further that council's remuneration be increased by 3.5%.
Thank you, Christine. Any questions? We have a moved by Councillor Yantch, seconded by Councillor Thompson. Call the vote. Councillor Thompson.
Yes.
Deputy Reeve Hook.
Yes.
Councillor Yantch.
Yes.
And that motion's carried. Item 10.3.2, 2025 year-end budget adjustments. Christine,
Thank you.
are you going to read it all?
Well, how does council want to
No.
approach this? I don't know how many pages it worked out to be, probably 3.5. Perhaps we could put it this way. Does council have any questions about any individual items that are included in those budget underspends? So essentially, this is a list of resolutions, basically. It's a resolution with a list of adjustments that I'm proposing to the budget. Most of them pertain to any budget underspends. So if a department at the end of the year is underspent on what they thought their expenses were to be, that underspent then would go into a reserve for them to use at a later date. Most of them are pertaining to that. Some of them, especially as they relate to the waste department, they're motions to take any revenue that we've received from the operations of our waste sites. That those would be also put into a reserve to help with closure and post-closure costs at the time we have to close a waste site. Others of them refer to projects that perhaps weren't completed, but that we levied for. So we want to capture that levy, tuck it away to be put towards those projects next year, so they don't end up back in the general surplus. Sort of an overview on what those entries are. Was there any that stood out or jumped out that I can answer any questions?
Deputy Hook?
Just a minor question. Do we receive money for cell phone tower rental?
We do.
Which tower is that?
The one here in Denbigh.
Oh, the new one?
Yep.
Oh, great.
$10,000 annually.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So if you noticed, that particular arrangement has a couple of resolutions in there. The playgrounds were overspent from what we received funding for. So I am proposing that a portion of that playground overspent be taken from the lease money that we received from those. The playgrounds were mostly installed in Ward 1, so it makes sense that we utilize some money that was generated in Ward 1.
Any other questions? So we have a draft resolution. The mover. Councillor Thompson, second by Councillor Yance. Call the vote. Councillor Thompson,
Yes.
Deputy Hook.
Yes.
Councillor Yance.
Yes.
That motion is carried. Item 10.4.2 is the memorandum of understanding, Ontario Federal. Oh, jeepers. Moved a little too fast. 10.4.1, the Scudamotta District Ratepayers Association. Invasive Species Action Fund Grant Application Update. You speaking to that one, Patricia?
Thank you. So this was just to provide council with an update. Staff did meet with the Scudamotta District Ratepayers Association representatives regarding the application for the Invasive Species Action Fund to address the Eurasian water milfoil. And it was just providing an update and an outline of what their requests for that application were from the township. So they are looking to the township to provide a letter of support to be included in the application, outlining council's support for the application and their efforts in trying to reduce the spread of the Eurasian water milfoil in Scudamotta Lake. They're also looking for the continued financial support from municipality in the 2026 budget and would like to include an in-kind cash contribution in the project outline that's included in the application for the funding. And that in-kind cash contribution represented signage at the boat launches. And that would be included as a commitment in the funding application. So the 2025 budget included $3,000 for invasive species signage and boat washing stations. $1,095 of the budget was allocated for signage at the Jacks Bay boat launch this year. And the SDRA proposed to have another sign erected at the boat launch on the northern shore of the Hughes Landing Road. And we discussed that signage, and rather than proposing the exact same sign at the same price, I did suggest that we allocate perhaps $700 more for sign at that signage at that boat launch. That would be the sign itself. My reasoning for that was that it would increase the in-kind cash contribution. It actually increases in the application itself, it increases the cash contributions, in-kind cash contributions to be more than the amount requested in the application. So the amount that the SDRA are requesting from the Action Fund, the in-kind cash contributions are more than the amount requested. That looks good in the application. However, it leaves still a good amount in that budget amount for other projects, whether they be on other lakes or what have you. out of that $3,000. So instead of including the exact same amount for signage, I proposed $1,700. So it still made the application look good, but still left a healthy amount in that budgeted species signage and boat washing station. So if council was, and council did move that money into deferred till 2026, just in that last motion. So because we haven't spent anything this year yet in the 2025 budget. So if council was amendable to providing a support letter and that continued financial support, we would include, or the DRA would include 1,795 in cash kind contribution in the application. So the recommendation would be that it be resolved that the report be received, and further that request for a letter of support and in-kind cash contributions as described above in the report be approved. Thank you. Sorry for the jumble.
Thank you, Patricia. That's a tongue twister anyway. Any questions for Patricia? Council, Deputy Reeve Hook?
Patricia, what was the total amount that we applied for or the SDRA applied for in the grant? Was it around 3,000?
I can't recall exactly. It's 3,300 and
Okay.
some dollars.
I would make the motion to receive and support the staff recommendation.
Moved by Deputy Reeve Hook, seconded by Councillor Yance. Any other questions? Call the vote. Councillor Thompson.
Yes.
Deputy Reeve Hook.
Yes.
Councillor Yance.
Yes.
And that motion's carried. Now we can move on to the Ontario Federation of Snowmobile Clubs, Mazenot Powerline Club update. We have, maybe prior to us getting in the discussion, Pat, did you want to speak to this at all? Did you want to provide any information to council? Or are you just there to answer a question if we have one? You can go ahead to the podium if you wish to say something.
So our intent was to hear what the staff is proposing to you and see where that goes. I think I can speak to it better after some discussion. Does that make sense?
That's fine. I'm okay with that. And we may have some questions for you, so,
Sure.
okay.
Sure.
And Carrie, did you want to say anything before we start this discussion?
I'm with Pat. We're here just to answer any questions that you may have.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so Patricia, did you want to provide there's a written report. Do you want to provide an overview, please?
Sure, I can just provide an overview of the report. So council received an update from staff at the meeting held December 2nd, advising that we were working on the draft agreement and with our solicitor, and staff received approval to go ahead and work with the Snowmobile Club on that agreement. So we sent over a draft to negotiate the agreement further and bring that back to council for review once we negotiated an agreement. That negotiation is going to take considerable time yet, as it has to go to their lawyer as well and be reviewed. So those revisions are going to take some time. Staff have discussed the impact of entering into memorandum of understanding with our solicitor regarding the prescribed trails. In accordance with section 2.1 of the Motorized Snow Vehicles Act, no person, and I've described in this report that no person shall drive a motorized snow vehicle upon any prescribed trail, except under the authority of and in accordance with a trail permit for a motorized snow vehicle issued under section 2 or except on lands occupied by the owner of the snow vehicle. So it is my understanding, and talking with solicitor as well, that this means that if the municipality enters into a memorandum of understanding with the snowmobile club, no person shall ride on any portion of a prescribed trail unless they have a trail permit. And typically this is fine. The snowmobile clubs maintain the trails and they require a permit to use it. And that's typically not an issue. However, in the instance with municipality, they are traveling on or over or across roads or road allowances. And therefore a permit is also required on in those instances. And township roads and road allowances are held in trust by the municipality for the public to travel on or cross over. Some sections of the prescribed trail travel on municipal roads, both maintained and unmaintained, and this creates a situation that may require more than just a blanket easement. And the appendix was included in the report that showed those instances where the trail does travel on or over across road allowances. If the memorandum of understanding for the prescribed trails, if there is a memorandum of understanding for the prescribed trails, the OFC would have the authority to prohibit others from using the trail and thereby those sections of road or road allowances. If the person did not hold a valid permit in accordance with the Motorized Snow Vehicles Act, so the club would be able to prohibit the trail use. So this raises the question, does the municipality wish to permit the Ontario Federation of Snowmobile Clubs to govern those sections of road allowances or roads in which the prescribed trail travels on or crosses over, thereby prohibiting others from using it, and then if they don't hold a valid permit? The OFSC is advised that without a memorandum of understanding, the affected trail will be closed and not shown on the interactive trail guide, and further that insurance coverage will not extend to those trails. The OFSC signage would need to be taken down as well. There's also a matter of maintaining and grooming sections of road which are maintained as well as unmaintained roads and but are used by others. This creates another unique circumstance that may not be addressed easily with a blanket easement or memorandum. And the solicitor has considered this as well. The Snowmobile Club has requested that the municipality consider entering into the standard memorandum of understanding, which they had provided to us earlier, and it was attached again to the report, for a shorter term in order to provide the extended time to work on the non-standard agreement, which was developed by our solicitor, and not interrupt this year's season. So I attached both the standard memorandum of understanding that was provided by the Ontario Federation of Snowmobiles Clubs, as well as the list of municipal roads and road allowances. And as well as the mapping to show the extent of the trails in Addington Highlands. And I also attached the revised draft, which was provided to me by the solicitor just before I published the agenda. That still needs to be forwarded to the Snowmobile Club. I think I didn't get that out to them yet. So I've attached all of those items for council's review. And my recommendation thus far was just to receive my report.
Thank you, Patricia. Members of council have questions for Patricia? Councillor Thompson.
Well, the one part here, it says, so you have to have a permit to be on the trail, but then it says where the trail travels on, along, or crosses over roads or road allowances, a permit is also required. Does that mean another permit on top of the snowmobile permit? No?
No. So they need their snowmobile
Right.
permit to travel on the Mausna power line
That's right.
trail.
Yeah, that's right.
And so when they travel onto a road allowance, which is typically, that should be open to the public, anyone should be able to travel on. they need that permit for that road allowance. And in a lot of sections, it's just a short little section, but there are some instances where it's either a maintained road or a non-maintained road or a longer trail. So whether those are used by others, I'm not, I don't know, like that trail, from O'Donnell Road to Hunt Road, I don't know if that's typically used by others, but essentially the municipality is a trustee and holding those to be open to the public and not require a permit. And then there are, of course, those other streets, one street right in Cloyne that, is open to the public and would not require anything other than what is required by the Ministry of Transportation in order to drive a snowmobile.
Right, these are just short stretches of road, so I could imagine snowmobile club, giving somebody a hard time for being on that piece of road, you know what I mean? It's just kind of a common sense thing.
Perhaps not, but the memorandum of understanding does say that they would be agents of those authorities.
Did you want to speak, Pat? Thanks.
Just a couple of points of clarification. Even though the memorandum speaks to certain things, there's other extenuating circumstances that anyone can travel on the snowmobile trail. A trapper can go on a snowmobile trail anywhere he wants to go if it's his trap license. A landowner can go on the snowmobile trail without a permit. If the trail leads to a lake that you're going specifically fishing to, that's the only way you can get there, you can go there without any permits. If you have a hunting camp on that trail, you can go down that trail to the hunting camp without any permits. There's lots of exceptions to the rule. Along the side of the road, as long as you have a license plate on your vehicle, you can go down the side of the road. The snowmobile trail does not have the jurisdiction over the road. I mean, so the only place we have is like, it's open to anyone. Like there's so many other people that can go. It's not a closed thing. Like if you're, again, I said cottages or hunt camp, that's the only way you can get to where you're going, you can go there. If you're going fishing, you're going to have to, prove that you have a fishing license and you are going to that lake. That's the only way you can get to that lake. But other than that, certainly on a road, we have no restrictions on that. It's like a vehicle, as long as you have a license plate on your vehicle, you can go down the road the same as any vehicle. I'm not sure if it's just a point. Questions?
Okay. Thanks, Pat. Patricia?
So Pat, if you don't mind if I ask a couple of questions, so those exceptions, where would they be written?
Good point. I don't know where that's written. I know a police officer has that authority to check for those things. I'm not sure where that's written in the Highway Traffic Act, perhaps. I'm not sure where it is. We can,
Okay.
I'm sure our office can find that out.
Okay, and then, so then as I'm just looking, sorry, just to get the term. As representatives to be agents of those enforcement agencies, do you have representatives that are going to enforce those and looked for to see if those, do you have anyone patrolling that from the club and looking for people to have a license plate or a fishing license or that type of thing?
We have trail patrol, but a very limited legal. They can only ask you where you're going and do you have a permit. They can't enforce anything. All our enforcement is through the police. And if we have issues on the trail, we deal with the police and say, can you do something there? But as far as a club, we have no jurisdiction to enforce anything other than say, you should have this, so.
Okay, yeah. Thanks, Pat. I had a question, maybe it's for Carrie. I believe there's sort of two questions. One is, Carrie,
Yeah,
can you provide us an update on any agreement you have with the EOTA, where that stands? I'll ask the second question too, because it might tie into the second question. So other municipalities like us, where these trails would run along the sides of roads or on unopened, I want to say unopened road allowances perhaps, but also on non-seasonally maintained road, like just the summer roads where they're running up these roads. Have other municipalities, are there others where there's holdups with them because they are expressing the same concerns we are, that these are public roads and they should not be restricted in the winter?
Okay.
Trails?
So we do have an agreement. We just got our agreement last week from the EOTA. And to answer your other questions, you guys are kind of the last of the municipalities to sign an MOU. We've not encountered, to this extent. We, like most of our trails are either, we have landowner agreements, they run on unassumed roads, they run on seasonal roads. We have insurance on our groomers, so we maintain those trails. And as far as like we have our MTO agreements, so even portions of like the major highways, we have the encroachments that we're allowed to get from point A to point B. So this is very common within our organization across the province. I hope that answers your question.
Yes, it does. I mean, it does for the most part. And just wonder how how other municipalities have handled it, or if they've just signing the agreement anyway.
They've signed. Yeah.
Oh, would you just
Oh.
identify yourself, please, when you come to the podium and just press that silver button?
To be read? Okay. So I'm Sean Sparling. I'm with the Griffith Snowmobile Club. And we just signed the MOU with the Griffith Matawachan Township. And I know all across Renfrew, we have similar agreements, the same MOU standard agreement with all those townships. Thanks.
Okay. Thanks, Sean. So does members of council have questions, comments? I mean, there are some options here. One is you say no. The other one is you agree to it for the season, with no guarantees what will happen after that, other than we would continue this discussion, hopefully right through as we could, and come to an agreement next summer. You please come forward, Pat, then you'd want to make a statement.
If I could, just saying, if we don't come to some kind of agreement here today, all trails in Addington Highlands will be closed. We can't, our insurer says we have to have the permission of the landowner before we can go on the trail. So if we don't have your permission to go on your pieces of property, if you look at our trail network, that closes our whole trail network. We cannot go anywhere in Addington Highlands on a trail. So there'll be no snowmobiling in Addington Highlands. And we have a little bit of North Frontenac who have signed the standard agreement, have for years. I might add, you're the only municipality that has not signed the standard agreement. There's modified standard agreements all over the place, but this is the only one that hasn't signed as of, and our groomer guy's sitting in the groomer ready to go. So, and these are paid employees of this township, so they're sitting there with nothing going on. Just a thought.
A comment I have, thanks, Pat, is we're being very diligent in our review of this and making sure we're protecting the interests of everyone to access these properties. So if others have signed it, so be it. But we have a duty here to look after everyone and their rights to use our property. Councillor Thompson?
We've signed this for every year, for as long as we can remember, have we not? Last year we had an issue with the Donald Road, right?
We've never signed, we signed one with Griffith, or what do you call it? Yeah.
Griffith Mountain.
We signed one just on the trail, just, it's not on a road, just over on the township property at the Ball Diamond, more or less.
Yeah.
But we have not signed anything with Mazenau. We were approached with it earlier. We talked about the O'Donnell Road being an issue. That's where it all really started, was how do we deal with the O'Donnell Road? It's partially maintained, it's partially private, it runs across private land, then the trail continues on up from that, that is, public land. But we've never actually signed this before. It's required now this year. They absolutely need it this year that they be signed or trails will not operate.
All right, so, we're talking about, you want to give you want to enter into a MOU for the time being to allow the club to open. So does that satisfy the club insurance and all that? Like, I mean, so if we can do that and then you work all this stuff out, then we would be good.
The
to go,
best,
right?
the best option for the club right now is the municipality sign the standard and memorandum of understanding that they've provided with a limited date for the season. So it ends April 30th, 2026. I think that was the date they proposed, in only 2030.
Right, okay.
So that it end April 30th, 2026. Provides us the opportunity to continue working on, as Mr. Reed called it, the modified agreement. I think he mentioned that there are other modified agreements. So we continue to work on a modified agreement for the next season.
Okay, so, yeah, so if that's the case, then I don't have a problem with that. This is one of the first years and years we've been able to, guys get out in the snowmobile at this time of the year, and if we're holding this up, I don't think it's probably a good thing. I think, if everything's covered with this MOU, then we should go ahead with that. That's my thought.
It would be the best option so that the snowmobile season is not interrupted. We can see if there ends up being complaints from other users as well. Mr. Reed said that they only may ask a user where they're going. If that's all that's being done, if there's an issue on the trail and it's a law enforcement issue that needs to be dealt with by the OPP, then the OPP are called, then that's what we want. We want to ensure that proper law enforcement is looking after the trails. But the other users, we need to recognize that there may be other users on the trail. Not only on snowmobiles, however, like we're talking other users that some of these trails may be plowed by other people as well. So I did identify that when I was looking at the mapping. Some of these areas are plowed by the municipality, some of the areas are plowed by others. So I'm not certain how much conflict we may end up with, groomer versus plow type idea. So those are the concerns we're looking at and the solicitor is looking at as well. So some of these areas are actually public traveled areas. So.
And I understand that. So, I mean, well, we don't need to get in a big debate about that, but I've snowmobiled quite a bit and, I've come across all those issues that you're talking about, but they just rectify themselves. It doesn't become a contentious issue with anybody involved, but I mean, it is what it is, so.
I would agree. They've always rectified themselves in the past. Now we're signing a paper.
Yeah, so which direction does council want to go?
Well, I would make the motion that I just said that we would
Yep.
sign that.
You make that, okay. We'll sign that agreement for this winter up, and that it would terminate April the 30th, 2026, and
Right.
that we negotiate a modified agreement for the following year.
Yeah.
Okay with that? Seconded by Deputy Hook. Any other questions? Nothing else from staff to add? Call the vote. Councillor Thompson,
Yes.
Deputy Reeve Hook.
Yes,
Councillor Yance.
Yes.
And that motion's carried. Thank you. Thank you, those in the gallery, and thank you, Carrie, for participating.
Thank you very much. Have a great day.
Yep, take care. On to 10.4.3, Accessibility Plan 2026 to 2030. Patricia.
Thank you. So we are at that time where we need to review our accessibility plan. We attached a copy of the plan. It was reviewed by staff and revised. We included the track changes highlighted in the document for council's review. Yeah. And included the initiatives for removing barriers and increasing accessibility in the municipality. Those initiatives were not only met, but a number of extra projects were accomplished. The 2026-2030 accessibility plan also includes some initiatives for the next 5 years. Staff provided some input in this regard. And we are looking for comments and suggestions regarding further initiatives from council for the next 5 years as well. And also if you had any other revisions regarding the plan. So I also included a recommendation that my report be received, and further that the revisions included in the plan be approved, and that the accessibility plan be forwarded to the Joint Accessibility Advisory Committee for review. That will happen in April of 2026. Thank you.
Yes, so the list of proposed, thanks, Patricia, proposed projects are on page 9, I guess. 9 of the written 9 on the document. So number of projects proposed for. Anyone have any comments on? And I guess what's going to happen, Patricia, in reality is that we go through next year and projects come up, or work that comes up that we weren't aware of, you know, to work on a facility that if there's accessibility related considerations that we will deal with it at that time.
Yes, I had put in there, continue to ensure accessibility is considered as all new retrofitting and repair projects, so.
No question. Deputy Reeve Hook?
just a little confused. What's the difference between the light blue text and the highlighted yellow?
So it was was with the track changes. So the track changes were done in blue. Anything we added, it didn't highlight it in blue, so we put that in yellow. So anything new was yellow. Anything that was already there, but we made a change to, created in blue. Sorry, it was a
Okay, I
bit.
thought- Yeah,
I was wondering because I was saying, oh, we did the accessible ramp at the
It
library.
it made it a very
Yeah,
colorful
okay, yeah,
document.
all right.
yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead, Deputy Reeve
I was
Hook.
just gonna make a motion to approve with the changes.
Moved by Deputy Reeve Hooks, seconded by Councillor Yance. Call the vote. Councillor Thompson.
Yes.
Deputy Reeve Hook.
Yes,
Councillor Yance. That motion's carried. Thanks, Patricia. And on to the next one, the 2025 compliance report.
Yes, so this is just to inform council that we did complete our 2025 designated public sector accessibility compliance report with the Ministry of Seniors and Accessibility, and the report was to be submitted before December 31st. We did so on the 12th of December, and I attached a copy of the compliance report. It should also be circulated to the Joint Accessibility Committee. And so that should have included a recommendation to receive the report and to forward to the Joint Accessibility Committee.
Thank you. Any questions? I have a motion to receive that report, moved by Councillor Yance, seconded by Councillor Thompson. We'll call the vote. Councillor Thompson,
Yes.
Deputy Reeve Hook.
Yes.
Councillor Yance, that motion's carried. 10.4.5, accessibility policy review. Patricia.
And as we were reviewing our accessibility plan, I also included our accessibility policy. And the last time it was reviewed was and approved was 2016, so I brought it forward. And my recommendation there would be that it be approved with any further revisions to make it match the accessibility plan. If does staff see any revisions that need to be made to match the accessibility plan, that we'd be given the authority to go ahead and do that.
Okay, council have any comments? Okay, we had a draft resolution kind of proposed by Patricia.
Sorry about that. I'm not certain why my resolutions didn't show up in my report.
Okay. Moved by Councillor Thompson, seconded by Deputy Reeve Hook. Call the vote. Councillor Thompson,
Yes.
Deputy Reeve Hook.
Yes.
Councillor Yance.
Yes.
That motion's carried. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep. Reports of appointees.
Meeting Thursday.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. Item 12, resolutions, 12.1, amalgamation of the conservation authorities through Bill 68. We have a draft resolution.
Make a motion to receive
And approve.
and approve, yes.
Moved by Councillor Thompson. Second by Councillor Yance. Comments will call the vote. Councillor Thompson,
Yes.
Deputy Reeve Hook.
Yes.
Councillor Yance.
Yes.
And that motion is carried. 13.1, approval of the accounts for December 15th. Moved by Councillor Thompson. Second by Councillor Yance. Any questions on any item? No, none noted. Call the vote. Councillor Thompson,
Yes.
Deputy Reeve Hook.
Yes.
Councillor Yance.
Yes.
That motion's carried. Any member statements? New business? Bylaws, 16.1, appointment of Deputy Reeve. So I want to give that 3 readings by Councillor Yance, seconded by Councillor Thompson. Call the vote. Councillor Thompson,
Yes.
Deputy Reeve Hook.
Yes.
Councillor Yance.
Yes.
That motion's carried. 16.2, a bylaw to amend Schedule C. This is regulated to disposable of garbage. Have a
Give that
move-
3 readings.
3 readings by Councillor Thompson, seconded by Deputy Reeve Hook. Call the vote. Councillor Thompson,
Yes.
Deputy Reeve Hook.
Yes.
Councillor Yance.
Yes.
The motion's carried. 16.3, bylaw 1001/2025 related to adopting the 2026 salary grid, moved by Councillor Yance, second by Deputy Reeve Hook. Call the vote. Councillor Thompson,
Yes.
Deputy Reeve Hook.
Yes.
Councillor Yance.
Yes.
That motion's carried. 16.4, bylaw 1002/2025, appoint members of the Township Council as members of the Committee of Adjustment for 2026. Moved by Councillor Thompson, seconded by Deputy Reeve Hook. Call the vote. Councillor Thompson.
Yes.
Deputy Reeve Hook.
Yes.
Councillor Yance.
Yes.
Motion's carried. Bylaw 1003/2025. I'll read the whole thing here. To authorize the Reeve and clerk to enter into a non-maintenance agreement with respect to a consent decision. 3 readings. Councillor Thompson, Councillor Yance, seconded. Call the vote. Councillor Thompson,
Yes.
Deputy Reeve Hook.
Yes.
Councillor Yance. That motion is carried. Let's just read this statement first because we're going to go into a closed meeting shortly. Pursuant to Section 239-2 of the Municipal Act 2001 as amended, this part of the meeting will be closed to the public in order to adopt closed meeting minutes on November 4th and November 10th, and to receive an updating containing personal information about an identifiable individual, more specifically a township employee, receive resumes for the Denbigh rink attendant position and select applicants for an interview, receive performance evaluations for office staff, and approve a recommendation for a merit increase. Could we have a motion to go into closed? Moved by Councillor Thompson, seconded by Councillor Yantch. Call the vote, Councillor Thompson,
Yes.
Deputy Reeve Hook, Councillor Yantch.
Yes.
That motion is carried and we are going into closed. No, before. Thank you. A closed meeting was held at 3:30 today pursuant to section 239(2) of the Municipal Act 2001 as amended in order to adopt closed meeting minutes on November 4th and November 10th and to receive an updating containing personal information about an identifiable individual, more specifically a township employee, to receive resumes for the Denbigh rink attendant position and select applicants for an interview, and to receive performance evaluations for office staff and approve a recommendation for a merit increase. And we have a motion to approve all the recommendations from the closed meeting by Council Deputy Reeve Hook, seconded by Councillor Yantch. All in favor? No. Councillor Thompson.
Yes.
Deputy Reeve Hook.
Yes,
Councillor Yantch.
Yes.
That motion's carried. Could we also have a motion to approve Patricia Gray as a signing authority? Moved by Councillor Yantch, seconded by Deputy Reeve Hook. Call the vote. Councillor Thompson.
Yes.
Deputy Reeve Hook.
yes.
Councillor Yantch.
Yes.
That motion is carried. That's it. Confirming bylaw, 3 readings. Moved by Councillor Yantch, seconded by Councillor Hook, Councillor Thompson. Call the vote. Councillor Thompson.
Yes.
Deputy Reeve Hook.
Yes,
Councillor Yantch.
Yes.
That motion is carried. A motion to adjourn. Councillor Thompson, Councillor Yantch. Councillor Thompson.
Yes.
Deputy Reeve Hook.
yes.
Councillor Yantch.
Yes.
That motion's carried and the meeting is adjourned. Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you.